Okay, I will go ahead and get started. So thanks everyone for joining us. My name is Angela, and this training session is going to be focusing on the changes that came with TransIT 5.0 in regards to plans. So the purpose of today's training is so that you understand all the changes in the functionality when it comes to plans inside TransIT. And for anyone who is new to plans, I would be happy to stay on after I've shown all the changes in functionality to add on any additional questions that you may have if you're not familiar with using plans at this point in time. So if you are someone who's already attended one of our previous training sessions, then you know that to sign into demo, you're going to use this hyperlink here to access our demo environment. And when you log in, you're going to use the same email address that you normally use to log into TransIT, but the password that you need to use is TransIT5. And so again, that's to get you into our demo, our demo build. If you sign into production, it's of course not going to work with that same password. And going forward, when we do go live with 5.0, you'll still be able to log in with your regular password. The TransIT 5 is just for the demo environment where we're currently practicing and playing before we do go live with TransIT 5.0. Also, the demo environment is going to be active until May 29th when it is going to be turned on live. So between now and then, you're welcome to sign in at any point you'd like to play around in TransIT and become more comfortable with the functionality. And anything that you create between now and then, it will be erased by the time we turn on 5.0. So it's not like if you make changes to anything during the training, that's going to affect anything that you have in your current build. And then also, if you're playing, I wouldn't spend too much time trying to create things that are really meaningful with the intention to be able to use later, because again, they will be lost when we do go live with TransIT 5.0. Another big thing to know is that TransIT will no longer be supported in Internet Explorer. So if you are logging in, make sure that you're using a different browser, because I can't guarantee that you're going to see exactly what you're expecting to be seeing when you are signed in to Internet Explorer. Okay, so having said all that, we'll go ahead and get started signing in. So again, if this is your first training session, the training sessions are intended to be interactive. We want you to get a chance to play around and be able to ask questions while we're on the call together if there's anything that doesn't quite make sense to you. So please do feel free to sign in at this time to be able to play around as I go. So I'm going to log in. So again, it's your same email address with the password TransIT5 when you sign in. If you're someone who has not signed in yet, the first thing that you're going to see when you sign into TransIT is the terms of service. So we have the Make Solutions privacy policy, and then we also have our terms of service. So you're welcome to open those PDFs if you'd like to review what's in there. And once you have and you accept our terms of service, then you can select this checkbox and then click the accept button, and that will sign you into TransIT. So the first thing that you'll notice when you come into TransIT here is in the top right-hand corner, we no longer have the gear icon displayed with your name hyperlink. Your name hyperlink is still one that you can click on. It's still active, except now when you click on your name hyperlink, it's going to take you to the user settings page. So what you can do from this page is you can set up your notifications. So at this point in time, we are active with sending email notifications, but we're not quite set up to have SMS messages sent, but that will be something that's coming. So from an email notification perspective, by default, it's going to put in your current username, email address. It's going to default into that email sent to field. If for whatever reason you wanted to have the email sent to a different email address, then this field is one that you can type over. So if you wanted to receive them to a different email address, you're just welcome to type whatever email address you'd like into that field. And if you hover over this little icon here, it also tells you that it can be different from your login. So just a little notification there. And then for your telephone number, you can put in your telephone number. And so although SMS messages are not active right now, you can view them within the roster. And so that can be helpful so that if you're working on something and you need to reach out to someone on your team and you don't have their phone number and they're not responding to emails, then it's a spot to give a, I guess, consolidated list of everybody's contact information. So that's where you can enter it here. The roster section here is a free text field. So I'm going to say I'm training plans. So you're welcome to type whatever you'd like in there. So with today being focused on plans, the position section is not something that applies. The position section only applies when you are setting up what positions you're going to cover for a round of testing. The change password section is still the same as you'd expect from 4.x TransIT. So anytime I'm talking about our currently live version of TransIT, I'll refer to it as 4.x. That's what we refer to it at Make Solutions. And then anytime I'm talking about our updated version of TransIT, I'll refer to it as 5.0. So you're able to type in a new password if you'd like, and there's still no character requirements surrounding the password. So you can make whatever changes you'd like and click Save. I'm not going to save them. And so once you save whatever you've got in your user settings, it's going to then take you to the projects page. So since today we're focused on plans, I'm going to click Plans from the blue bar. So right off the bat, if you were a previous user of plans, you can see that there is a massive, massive change to the display when it comes to plans. The 4.x version of plans had a lot of icons that you could see, a lot of different filter fields. And so now it's very, very much been more simplified and it's a much cleaner look for when you're using plans. So in 4.x, it was if you were wanting to filter, you had all your different filter fields that you could play with. Whereas now inside TransIT, everything is done from the kind of filters and sort options that are displayed when you hover your cursor over one of the header options, which if you've participated in a different training session, you know that it's the same kind of look and feel, same functionality when it comes to filtering that you get in all of the different areas of TransIT. So if I was wanting to say, let's sort my projects, filter my projects to only see the plans that are part of my rollout project, I can click the filter here. I can either type into this field or I can select from the drop-down list. And so I can select rollout. And you can see that my view has been filtered to only show the options that were for the rollout project. If I want to get rid of that filter, I can just click the filter icon and exit out of the options there. And then it once again gives me the all of the plans back. If I want to sort, you're going to have that same sort icon that's displayed beside all of the fields. So let's say I want to sort based on project, I can click that icon there. If I click it a second time, it's going to do the reverse. So it's however you'd like your filters to really work for you. In addition to that, if let's say there's certain columns that you don't want to see, if you right click the header here and you select the columns option from the drop down list, you're able to select certain columns that you can get rid of. So obviously we want to see the plans column, but just for sake of demonstration, if I uncheck the plans column from here, you can see that that column has disappeared from view. It's the most important column, so we'll put that column back. But it's just as simple as that. So with TransIT, you have a lot of flexibility around modifying the view that you have to suit whatever you're wanting to be looking at when you're working in TransIT. So again, I mentioned that we have gone away from most of our icons because instead we've put most of your actions into a right-click menu option. So if you're wanting to select an option that's from a plan here, one of the plans specifically, you would right-click beside the plan that you're wanting to edit. Whereas if you're wanting to make a change to the plans page itself, it's a right click from the header. And so again, that's the same kind of functionality that carries all the way through all the different pages in TransIT. The biggest walk away when it comes from going from 4.x to 5.0 is right click. Right click is going to be your action, is going to give you your actions for just about everything. So in this case, these are the only icons that we have left in the plans page. So the first icon here is going to be for creating a new plan. So if I click that icon here, it's going to open the new plans page. So you can give your plan a name. You can select the view. So I will show you a little bit after. There's 3 different view options when it comes to creating plans for yourself. You can create a spreadsheet, which is what you've normally been creating in TransIT if you've been using plans. You can create a Gantt chart. So that is not something that is really available yet. It is there to play with, but it's not something that's going to be live and supported right away at the initial release of TransIT 5.0. And when we are ready to release that functionality to everyone, we will of course reach out to let people know that it's now available and being supported. The new type of plan that's available in here is a schedule. So you can create schedules for things like a command center schedule for when you're doing testing. So that I will show you. So I'm going to just stick with spreadsheet for now. So you can type in a number for your plan, just like anywhere else, just like previous, it's going to assign the next number that's up in the series of numbers. But of course, if you're wanting to group all of your plans together, you're welcome to type into this field whatever plan number you'd like. You can select the start and end date of your plan. The event display, so this is more functionality that is for when you're creating a schedule, and you'll see what I mean when I get to that section. So I'll just leave the default there. The category, so these are the options that are currently available based on the other plans that exist inside my environment. So when you click the category drop-down list, you may have different options that you see there, which would just be based on whatever's been created currently in your organization. But if you have nothing there, or if the option that you want isn't displayed there, then it is a free text field that you can type into. And once you add something once, it will then be available from that dropdown when you go to create a next plan. So project. So as usual, you are able to have your plan associated to a specific project, or if you just want it to be part of your current state, you can just leave it as current state. So I'm going to just leave it as current state for now. And click save. So when it saves, it's then going to take me inside the plan to start adding activities to my plan. For now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish talking about what's available from the plan's dashboard. So when we're talking about the screens inside plans, we refer to this as the plan's dashboard. So it's going to give you the plan's name, the number, the category, the project it's associated to. And then if you look in this column here, you'll see that there's an icon displayed beside each one. So all of them except this one. This icon is indicating that these are all spreadsheet plans, whereas this icon here is showing that this particular plan is a schedule. So then you've got your description of what's happening in your plan, the percent complete of your plan, the number of steps that are late, not started, completed, in progress, skipped, flagged, have an issue, and completed. So as you saw, when you hover your cursor over the icons, oh, no, it's not doing it. It's going to tell you what that column is for, what the icon is indicating. So one of the big changes when it comes to plans is the totals. So in 4.x plans, the totals was displayed at the top, where it has now been moved to the bottom of the page. You also have more filter options, and when you change your filter options, it's going to change the numbers that you see in the totals. So for example, if I go back to this edit and I just do current state plans, you can see that the numbers here have changed, and they're only showing me numbers based on all the plans that are for current state plans. I will take off that. You have the option to do multiple plan view. So if you want to just look at the activities that are for a single plan, it's just still clicking on the plan name, which then takes me inside my plan to see all of the activities and all of the details surrounding the activities. If I go back though, so I've clicked the back button. I think that's the first time I've shown that in for TransIT 4.x and every single version of TransIT before. You've never been able to click the back button in arrows, the back button arrow in TransIT. So for the past 9 years, I've been telling people, do not click the back button. that is now a button that we can click, and it does what you'd expect it to, take you back to the previous page that you were on. So as I was talking to someone earlier in a previous session, that'll just be something that you have to get used to, and that you'll be very happy to get used to again. So if I wanted to select more than one plan to have a view of at the same time, so I want to see all activities for multiple plans or a group of plans all at the same time, I can use the multi-plan view. So to do that, I would select the first plan that I want to select, and then I can either shift click or I can control click if there's ones in the middle that I don't want to look at. But I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to select the last plan that I want to select. And then I can right click and I can select multi-plan view. So when I do that, it tells me at the top that I'm in the multi-plan view, and it lets me see all of the activities that are across all of the different plans that I just selected from. So I can then go back if I want to just go back to seeing all of the plans again. So just like was pointed out during testing training, we have the capability to copy and paste from Excel. So copy and paste from TransIT into Excel and then from Excel back into TransIT. So in the 4.x version of plans, you were able to upload a plan, where in this case, you would just be copying a plan from an Excel document. So you do need to make sure that, so if I go inside of it here, you do need to make sure that your Excel spreadsheet coincides with all of the header options that you see inside the spreadsheet view. So you need to make sure that you update your spreadsheet so that it matches this if you're wanting things to be pasted into the appropriate columns. And so instead of clicking to...
Hey, Angela, can I interrupt for a second?
Of course.
We haven't done it yet, but the same way as we had the process-based scenario and functional scenario spreadsheet headers under the report section, we'll do the same for the plans. Have a blank spreadsheet that you can use so that you don't necessarily have to remember what order the columns are in, or so that you don't have to export a row first to be able to do that. It's not there yet, but it'll be there before Monday morning.
Yes. And so that's always been something that is available under the training material. So what's under under reports? So under the training material for now, it is still the 4.x training material. But when we go live, we'll make sure that the old training material is no longer available, and same with the header templates that Patty just mentioned. So they will be updated to be the appropriate column headers and such to match up with the 5.x. Sorry, 5.0. So another way you could go about it is you could right click and export to Excel. So of course, when you export to Excel, it's going to show all of the appropriate column headers there. And so then you'd be able to delete out all of the steps that are there and just type over it. But it'll of course be much easier to just open and save yourself a template that you can work from for if you're wanting to get your plans from Excel into TransIT, if you already have things like cutover plans that are really well written at the moment. So the next item up from the plans dashboard, we've now added this user role. So when you're documenting a plan, you're going to want to have, so if it's going to be a spreadsheet plan, let's say you have activities that you're putting together for your plan, and you know the role who needs to complete that activity. So a role like a core analyst, for example, but you don't know the specific name of the core analyst that's going to be completing those activities. You can, in the activities, you can select the role, so you know which role needs to complete the activity. And until you know who that person is, who's going to be your core analyst, you can just have the role there until you know. Another spot where roles are going to be used is when you're creating your schedule. So that I will, of course, show you in a little bit. So to create a new role, it's just a matter of clicking the icon in the top here and creating a new role. And then that adds them to your list. If you are someone who was previously using TransIT plans and you had things that were in the roles column that didn't actually belong in the roles column, that they're going to end up just coming to the roles column, but probably need to be cleaned up. So by that I mean, if you look in this list here, there's some spots where you see people's names. So here we have Poppy and Reggie. Well, of course, Poppy and Reggie aren't actually a role. Poppy and Reggie belonged in the assigned column, but they were mistakenly put in the role column. So all that means is that you're going to need to figure out where those spots are and update your plan so that their names are properly added to the assigned column and removed from the roles column. So that would be how you add a new role to be used inside a plan. And the other icon that's displayed here is the refresh plan summary. So if you're wanting to get a refreshed view of what is here, you can just click to refresh and it's going to refresh your screen so that if multiple people are working at the same time, you can always have the most up-to-date view of what's going on across plans. So now I'm going to move into specifics around a spreadsheet plan. So I'm going to go back into this initial plan that I created. And so that takes me to the spreadsheet page of my plan. And so that's the same page that you're going to get when you create a new spreadsheet plan as well. From this page, there's a few icons that are displayed here. So this first icon is the icon for the spreadsheet view. So it's the same icon, of course, that we saw from the plans dashboard. The next icon is the Gantt chart view. And then the next is the schedule view. So although I don't have any content in here now, we can see that when I click the different options, it changes your view. To be whichever it was that that you selected. So I'll stick with a schedule plan for now. So again, we have all of our header columns. They are all, you're able to filter on all of the different column headers, just like we've always been able to. We can also right click and we can make some changes to our column headers. So we could change the label So let's say you don't like that this particular column is called activity, you could change it to whatever you'd like it to be named instead. The changes that you make will only affect you and only affect your current login. So if you change the column header label, if someone else signs into that plan, they're still going to just see activity, for example. You can remove a column altogether and you can set the width. So if you want to manually type in a number that you want the column width to be, you can type it into this dialog box and click OK. You could also change the row height, and you have these three options to select from. And you've got the option to, if you wanted to remove from display, any of the column options here, which can of course be added back just by either selecting or deselecting the checkbox there. So then if I was to go and, excuse me, create an activity, you can select the type. So if there's nothing in your drop down, if it's the first activity in your plan, that's going to be blank. Or sorry, if it's the first type in your plan, it's going to be blank. I'll just put training, and here I'll put TransIT 5.0 training as my activity. I'm going to select a role. So this goes back to creating the roles. So again, to clean up your view here, you would do it all under that role window that I showed off the bat. So things under here, there's certain things under here that don't belong. Like here it says Fred Brown. As I said before, Fred Brown is obviously not a role. So you can clean all of that up under your roles. And so here you want to select the role who is going to be doing, who's going to be responsible for the activity. So I'm going to put the training manager. If I know exactly who that person is, I can then select from the drop-down list here to assign that person. I can also assign multiple people, so you could really select as many options as you want from, oops, select the same thing, from the drop-down list here, and they're going to be added underneath. And just like for .x transit, if I want to get rid of these options, I would just X them out here. Depends on. So obviously at this point in time, my plan is completely blank, but as you start to add more things into your plan, you can have certain activities that can't be completed until a specific activity has been completed before them. So your activity depends on step number 5, for example. So at this point in time, everything is blank. So I'm going to leave that field blank. The start and finish times and dates are now broken out into separate fields. So in 4.x transit, the start and finish columns, the date and time were combined into the same fields. So it's much more user-friendly now that they've been separated into their own fields. So you can click the drop down. Of course, if you want to type your number, you could type into that field as well. So I'll just leave it for today. And the finish, let's say we'll have it finished tomorrow at the same time. So the work effort, so the number of, the duration of time that you're expecting the work effort to take. So you can select from the drop-down list either days, hours, minutes, or weeks. So I'll just say 1 day. So percent would be the percent complete, with which obviously is nothing at this point. The status is also something that we wouldn't be adding because this is just a brand new activity at this point in time. The category, there's nothing here yet because this is a brand new plan, so I can training, or whatever I'd like to type there, and the group, I'll just say training leadership. Good. And so now that has been added to my spreadsheet plan. If I'm wanting to make changes to any of these columns, I had the option to either right click and edit the activity, or I could also double click on a field, which then makes that field actionable. So I'd be able to either free type an option into this field or select an option from the drop down list. Obviously right now I just have the one option, and I can press enter if I'm done making changes, or if I want to continue on down the row, I can just click tab. So I'm currently clicking tab, and it's of course moving me all the way down the line here to all the way down the line on my activity. So I'm going to add another activity. Actually, I'm going to say, I'm going to insert one above. And I'm going to, so I right clicked and I did insert, which inserted a line above. If I want to edit that, I can click edit activity, which is going to open the window for me. So the type, I'm going to say training. The activity, I'm going to say invite users to training. The role that's responsible, I will have that be the training manager again. And I will assign that to that Angela demo. And I'm going to leave depends again. I will leave the dates here. I think I'm going to leave all of the rest. But so then, because my next line was training, obviously training can't happen until users have been invited to training. So if I want to make step number 2 or activity number 2 depend on the completion of activity number 1, I can double click on this depends column here, and I can say it depends on activity number 1. When I do that, you can see it's given me a stop sign, and that's just indicating that this step is dependent on this step, and because that first step has not been completed, I'm getting a notification that I can't complete this next step because this step has not been completed. If I was to right click the status here and change the status to completed, or if I was to type into here 100%, that would also give me the green check. It's whichever way you'd like to do it. You can see that dependency icon has gone away, because now that I've completed the first step, this step is available to be completed because the dependency has been satisfied. What you can also do is you can have certain steps dependent on steps in a separate plan altogether. So let's say I go back out into my plans here, and I want to say that steps in my plan are dependent on steps inside this plan number 3. Let's see, I need a line from in here. So I will say 3 and line number 17. So I'm going to go back to my new plan. And so when I came back, you can see that the one that I had completed has fallen off the view. And that's because of these status filters here. If I want that one to display again, I would select completed. And now you can see that the completed activity has been shown again. Otherwise, by default, it's set to have anything that's completed drop off the view of your plan. So I went into that other plan and I found out that I'm going to say that this second step here is dependent on plan number 3, colon, line number, I think I said 17, and enter here. So you can see again that I've got my my icon indicating that my step can't be completed because it's dependent on step number 17 that exists inside plan number 3. So I think that that has that step itself has become much easier to do and much cleaner to look at. So as we've kind of shown all over TransIT, you have the option to export, or if I was wanting to copy my steps here, I have the options to either copy or cut and put them into a different plan, or I have the option to select the clipboard option, which then I can copy to clipboard, open up Excel, paste into Excel, or copy from Excel and paste from clipboard. So again, the same kind of functionality that's available all over TransIT. So your right-click menu item has some additional options available to you as well. You could adjust the status of your activity. You can change a specific field. So if you don't want to do right-click, edit activity to edit from this view here because you only want to edit a specific field, you have the option to right-click and change just that field. And when you do that, you can, let's change assigned. It's just going to open the window that's for that one specific component of the activity. And so in this case, I selected I want to change who is assigned to this. So I'm going to add an additional person here. And click save, and now they've been added to my assigned column here. So also, if I wanted to make something an issue, there's 2 ways that I could go about it. I could go here. I could change the status to issue, and then click on the icon to open the issue window. Alternatively, I could also log an issue by selecting the right-click option here. But for demonstration purposes, I'm going to go like this. So now you can see that the icon is displayed here. So it shows that there's an issue associated to this particular activity. If I click on that activity, it's going to automatically open me up to the issues window. Here I can then say, it's assigned, we'll say the priority is high. The issue is a printing issue. It's reported by, assigned to me, and we'll have the vendor. Sure, that doesn't make sense actually. I'm not quite sure. Anyways, you select whatever options you want from the drop-down list here. And again, you can attach a screenshot if you'd like. So you can save whatever screenshot to your desktop, click the browse here, and select the screenshot that you want to attach. And it's as simple as that, to attach a screenshot to your issue. Then once you're finished, you can click save. Now, if you have the email notifications on for your teams, if everybody's got their email notifications done properly, then whoever was just assigned to that issue would receive an email to let them know that the issue has been created. So this still looks pretty much the same as it did in 4.x. But so because I had assigned that issue to me, this is the email that I received to let me know that the issue is assigned to me. And so we can say that the issue has been fixed. So now we can say that the activities, I don't know, in progress. Sure. And so because I did that, it removed the issue icon from my display here. So I believe that that is it from the spreadsheet plans. Does anybody have any questions about that? Nope. Okay. So I'm going to then go back out to my plans. And so the next type of plans, which is brand new with 5.0, is schedules. So I have a schedule that's already created here, and it's a command center schedule. So I'm going to go in and look at this schedule because it's been built out to show you kind of what it looks like here. So you can see going across, if you want to, if you're using people from different companies and you want to have the company field filled out, you could add what company those people belong to. The type is going to be the type of schedule that you're working with. Assigned can be the person who is assigned to the schedule. So I guess I'll back up for a sec. Looking here, we have a schedule for command center. So when creating a schedule for yourself, if you don't know who the person that is going to be assigned to each of the different slots for your schedule, you can leave those as just the role. What type of role needs to be completing or needs to be signed up for that schedule. So in the case of all of the rows that you can see, or most of the rows, I should say, that have red displayed, it's because there is nobody that's currently assigned. So for the first row and the third row, it's showing that there's nobody that's currently assigned to those scheduled time slots. If we look at the second row here, we have the role of communications team, and the person, Patricia Brown, has been assigned to cover that time slot. So you can see for one, her initials are displayed here and her name is displayed here. So then the question would be, why is it showing in red? The reason for that is because in our build, Patricia Brown is not actually set up to be a communication, not set up to be as part of the communications team. So in order to have this turn green, it needs to be that it's a row that has a person signed up for the time slot that has the appropriate user role assigned to them in your user role build. So that's one of the biggest reasons why you need to make sure that if you're going to be using a schedule, that you have your user roles all set up properly with the appropriate people assigned to each user role. So let's say I know that Patricia Brown is not part of the communications team. So I want to change this to be someone who is part of the communications team. I'm going to double click here, take out her name,
On the right-hand side, you have to click the individual boxes with control click.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. So I can, she's currently assigned to all of these, so I can hold control and I can then, so if I want to just change the one event, after I've selected here, I would select to change single event. But as I've already identified, Patricia Brown is not set up as the communications team. So I want to change all of the spots that she's currently signed up. So what I'll do is I'm going to hold down control and select all of the options that I want to select to change. So you can see that it's displayed in yellow, and that just means that it's been selected. So I can right click. And so because I've selected multiple, I want to, instead of selecting change event, I want to change multiple. So I've already identified that Patricia Brown is not part of the communications team, but I know that Helen Pink is. Patty, shouldn't the display as pull from automatically?
So I just leave it blank, and then it'll take whatever you have set as the default.
Okay.
Like that's if you want to have it display as something different. So when you
Different.
created the plan, you had the ability to say what you wanted the display as. So if your site has 24 Brians, then it's better for it to be first initial, last name. If you only have, you know, one Brian, but you have 45 Joneses, you might want it to be first initial, or sorry, first name, last initial. Or, you know, if people have long names, typically I just use first initial, last initial. But there, if you change it there, it's going to change it for just that one person because it's at the plan level where you set it when you created your plan.
Okay. Well, I will go back and start from scratch, but I figured since this is something completely brand new, it was better to look at a schedule that's already been created.
Oh, that's great. I'm sorry.
So I have now selected Helen instead, and I'm pretty sure that she's set up as a communications team.
And since we've got such a small audience here, I will say as well that it is on the enhancement list for when you go to pick someone for your command center staffing. And you don't have to just use it for command center. You can use it for at the elbow support or whatever else. But eventually it's going to be when you go to add somebody to the schedule, when you put in the role, it's going to only show you the list of people who are already set up for that position. So I think you saw when Angela did, she had to know in advance that Helen was the right person. And in the future, that will not be like that. It'll filter to just those who are already in a role.
Thank you. And so as you can see, when I change it to Helen, these went from being red to now they're green. So simple rule of thumb, red is bad, green is good. So when you're working on your schedule, by the time you need to you get to the day where you need to start having people there for whatever your schedule is, you obviously want to make sure that everything is set to be at green. So I will go back out and I will create my own. Actually, before I do that, because this is a good schedule to show, when I'm inside my schedule, I do have the option of being inside my schedule, but looking at it from a spreadsheet view. So when I do that, it's still giving me the same sort of information, but from a different view. So if I wanted to, I could select multiple from this spreadsheet here, and I can come in here and I can right click and I can say complete. So for example, if you're wanting to check off to make sure that everybody has showed up to their scheduled time slot, you can look at it from this view and I can say, Helen has checked in. I'm going to mark her off as completed because she's shown up for her shift. And so when I do that, you can see that in the status column, it's shown that she has shown up for her shift. And then you can go back to the previous schedule view.
Again, it's such a small audience. The other thing that we have on the development roadmap is to be able to add in the rates of the roles so that you could also use this if you're using at the elbow support or if you're using consultants to staff, whatever, that you'd be able to put in their rates and get an estimate for what your go live was going to cost you. Not there yet. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but the goal is to have this really help facilitate a lot of the planning around go lives, which, as you both know, is really expensive.
Oh, I didn't know we were down to 2.
Yes, just Travis and Carlin. So
Oh, well, thanks for sticking it out. So for this particular schedule, if I was wanting to continue adding additional rows, I could click the add icon. I can select from the drop-down list. So this drop-down list is obviously going to be populated by everything that is available in your user list. So I'm going to say we'll do at the elbow support, super user. I'll leave who it's assigned to. And start date, I will just leave it as today. Instances, let's say I want 10 instances of the same time, or sorry, the same schedule. So I'm going to have it start today at, we'll say 9 a.m. and finish here also at 9 a.m. So the type is going to be based on the options that have already been typed into this field. So just for the sake of showing something different, I will type ATE support. The category, I will say that's obviously someone who's on site. And the group, I will say it's the support group. And we'll leave the display as. So then I'm going to go and save that. Ooh. And so now you can see that that was added to my display here. So, okay, Patty, what did I do wrong that it looks the way it looks as opposed to all nice like you did? The duration of time that I put in? Patty?
She dropped.
She dropped. She told me she was staying on until 2:30. What a fibber. But as you can see, it's all displaying. I believe it's the duration of time that I selected. Yes. So if I edit this, oh, I'm gonna edit all of them. Oops. Okay, I thought I was able to change the day and time. I guess that hasn't been added yet. See if I can do it from single. Yes. So from a single, so I should have had this just say today. And have it end at 9. If I type in here 9, it's going to say 9 p.m. and save. So because I didn't change it for the group of them. It only changed it for one. So I'm going to go back out and I can create a brand new plan. And I want my view to be schedule. My plan number I'll leave as 101. I'll shorten my duration of time just because it's only a demo. Or I'll have it end here. So this is what Patty was talking about the display. So when you select from this drop-down list, she mentioned how she likes to just have it as the user's initials. But if you'd prefer to do either a first name and last initial, or full first name, full last name, however you want to have that display, you have the option to select that from the drop-down list there. So we'll just leave it as user initials. So from the category drop-down, I'm going to keep it as training, and we'll leave the project as current state. So that's now been added. It's showing as soon as we go inside the spreadsheet view. It shouldn't be. It should be showing the schedule view that is a known issue that has been logged. So that will be fixed by the time we go live. So if I want my schedule view, I just need to select it from my icon options here. So then I can create a new activity. I will say my role is, I'll just keep going with the same, training manager, assigned. I don't think I have anyone assigned as a training manager, but I'll just select myself. The start of this particular activity, I will have it start today at 9 a.m., let's say, finish today at, I can type 9, and then it's going to shorten my list to 9 p.m. We'll do 3 instances. And the type, since there's nothing created yet, I will say training. And category, I will say support. And the group will say training. And save. So now I've actually created those things properly, as you can see, because I gave them the appropriate duration of time. But evidently I'm not signed up as a training manager. So since I'm not signed up as a training manager, I would need to go through the list to find someone that is, and I know that there's nobody that is. So I'm going to go to my plans view. I'm going to go to my user roles, and I need to create a training here, or maybe I did already. Yes, I created that already. So I just need to, I would need to assign somebody. So that needs to be done by someone who has administrator access. And I believe, let me see who's on. I believe that both of you do. So for a second here, I'm going to drag over this window. So what I would need to do is I would need to go under my users. And under this roles column, I would need to add the role of training manager to someone here. So let's go with Poppy Purple. So I'm going to double click this field here, and I'm going to select manager. So now I have someone assigned as the training manager. So now I can go back to my plan. And I can go back here. And now that I know that she is signed up as a training manager, I can select and then hold control to multi-select and right click. And because I want to change all three at the same time, I'm going to select change multiple. And I'm going to change the role, or sorry, the assigned person to be that Poppy be purple. So when I select her and I deselect these options, you can see that it went from displaying in red to now displaying in green. And again, green is good, red is not. Is there any questions about that? No. Okay, so I know that you both have already attended other training sessions, so there's no need for me to review any kind of reports or anything like that. And so that was all of the new content here. But I know, I believe that Carlin, you're already used to using plans, but Travis, I know that your site is not currently using plans at this point. So just from a plans perspective in general, is there anything that you'd like me to go back over?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I found it very interesting, and ultimately, Todd is over our project management department. I think he's taking this course at some point during the week, and I'll just wait to hear kind of what he says. I can't say that I wouldn't need more information in the future, but for right now, I mean, I like everything that I see.
Good. It's much like how we feel the rest of TransIT has been updated. It's fairly intuitive, and once you kind of get your hands on it and play around with it a little bit, it should be mostly straightforward how to do everything. So we trust that you'll feel that way too. But as always, we're always here to support you. If you have questions, either by emailing Patty or myself directly, or by emailing support@makesolutionsInc.com, and that way if Patty or I aren't available, someone will get back to you for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
And so I didn't show the copy and paste, but you can, if your site has let's say you do your cutover currently and you have stuff all in Excel, you would just need to get the proper header options in your spreadsheet, and then you can do a copy and paste, much like I've shown for other areas of TransIT, to get your spreadsheet right into TransIT, and then that way you can work on updating inside TransIT as opposed to in an Excel document.
Thanks, Angela. This is really awesome.
Thanks, Carlin. Please let us know if you have any questions.
I will. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Travis. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks.